though, so we don't get a lot of feedback?
Yeah. I think I have everybody muted. Okay.
Okay, great. Well, thanks for having me.
Yes. Okay, I'll introduce Mom. Do you want to mute yourself while we... Perfect. Sorry, I know we hear the when we have three of us open, it's more.
Yeah, I think your mom said she's at Starbucks too, so I know that picks up a lot of background noise. Lots of cappuccinos being made.
Yes. Well, I think a few more people will be popping on. So, Mom, if you could just keep an eye on that, make sure they get muted as they pop in, because I know a few more just text me that they were trying to get on. So, I'll just introduce really quick, and then I'm going to open it up for Rhonda so that you can, infuse us with all your goodness, and then you can get off if you need to go. So, anyway, the law of respect today, and so as Rhonda's speaking, you guys will understand why every law, but she's now a certified John Maxwell coach, life coach, right, Rhonda? So this, I don't even think you guys know what an honor this is and a privilege. So soak it all up, get your notepads and paper out and your pencils and take lots of notes. I'm just going to kind of open it up to you, Rhonda, and I'll give my little notes and things afterwards. And then for everyone who's on this call, make sure to stay, after Rhonda speaks for a little bit, because Mom's going to do a drawing, 2 drawings, I think. One for everyone who's on this call, and then one for, I don't remember what it's for, but something else. We did a contest on our team page. So make sure you stay on after Rhonda so that you can see who wins those prizes. So the law of respect, Rhonda Shaw, Diamond Ambassador, and it's such an honor to have you. Thank you so much for being willing to come on here and invest in us.
Well, one, you're giving me way too much credit. And 2, I don't know if anybody wants to take notes or not, but we'll see. I'm honored to be on this call and very humbled, and particularly this chapter, the law of respect. I don't think I ever read any of John Maxwell's books, or particularly in the 15 Laws of Growth or in the 21 Laws of Leadership, where I don't find myself deeply convicted after every chapter. After every chapter, I can find areas that I need to grow, areas where I've definitely disappointed people. One of the things that really got me about this chapter, I don't know if any of you have ever gone through the workbook companion that he puts with this book, but he talks about, the people that are closest to him respect him the most. And wow, that was like, daggers in my heart, because I started evaluating, thinking to myself, do the people that are closest to me, and I'm talking about the people in my home, my shareholders, do they respect me the most? Do they have the utmost respect for me? Do they value my opinion? Do I treat them with respect? Because I think the biggest thing about the law of respect is, like John has said, it's not about the respect that others are giving to you, it's about the respect you're giving to others. Because really good leaders respect other people. And I felt just under deep conviction about that, because I think how many times that I haven't respected the people closest to me in my home, that I haven't shown my husband the greatest amount of respect, or my teenage children, or my small children. Even our small children need respect from us. How do they ever learn that if it's not modeled to them? And they're just little people, and yet they still have boundaries set up around them, boundaries that we need to be respectful of, and especially, their little hearts, right? So I think before you ever go outside the bigger picture, I have to always take it back home where I'm living. Because it's all great if people who hardly know me through Plexus respect me or admire me or follow me, if the people in my own home don't want to follow me. then at your core, there's like a really deep leadership problem going on. I strongly encourage you to read the 15 laws of growth, the invaluable laws of growth. Because while I love the 21 laws of leadership, I feel like it sits on the foundation of that book of the 15 laws of growth. Because a lot of times people don't even know why they should even be interested in the 21 laws of leadership, or why they should even be interested in personal growth at all. And that book really opened my eyes to seeing, gosh, the depth of how little personal growth I really had and how much more that I needed to grow. And one of the reasons that I became so passionate about John Maxwell and his leadership writings and teachings and all of that is because of the way it transformed my own life and the way it's transformed my family. And what's so special about John and about his teachings is because he was a pastor before he was a leadership teacher. And all of his principles are not new. You know, they're all biblical. But the way that he spells them out for you helps you really, you know, take leadership that's in the Bible that God's taught us, but break it down step by step for you to follow. And I think that's just so, so invaluable. So then if you start with the law of respect and within your home and asking yourselves, you know, if I asked my husband if he felt respected by me, what would he say? If I asked my children if they felt respected by me, especially my teenagers, because they would understand that question, you know, what would they say? And I think to my little ones, you know, really just asking them, do you feel like mommy thinks you're important? Do you feel like mommy thinks that you're special? And do you feel that mommy loves you and treats you with love and kindness? Does mommy talk nice to you? I mean, guys, these are the questions, like the answers will bring you to your knees. Because we all know as parents, we fail daily and we fail miserably, and we tend to hurt the people that are closest to us. And because we feel safe around them, right? We feel like they're not going to leave. I mean, our kids aren't going to leave. They need to eat. They need clothes. This is where their beds are and their toys are. You know, they're not going to leave. But are they thriving here? Or are we smothering them? Are we making them feel underappreciated? Are we making them feel like everybody is more important than you? And that's really, really hard. And I think that when you start working on that, and you start working on yourself and in your home, that naturally starts bleeding out into other areas of your life. Because when I show respect to my husband and we're out in public or we're around other people or we're just in conversations with people and they see me respecting him, what does that make them think? That makes them feel naturally inclined to show him respect. Because, gosh, if I respect him, he must be doing something right, right? One of the things my husband, he is like so discerning when it comes to men and relationships. And sometimes I'm just all chitty, la, 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 you know, chatty and stuff. But a lot of times he'll come to me and later I'll be like, wasn't that so great? Didn't you have so much fun? And he's like, you know, I don't know that I really want to hang out with them again. And I'm like, what? What are you talking about? I had such a great time. He's like, you know, he's not somebody I respect. I didn't like the way that he talked. I didn't like the way he talked to the waiter. You know, he just is like sizing people up really quickly. And I know I've done that before too. And I think that being discerning like that is very, very good, because we want to surround ourselves with people who are going to be strong leaders. The basis of this whole chapter that he talked about was just that we wouldn't follow people that were not stronger than us, right? And he talks about, you know, if you're, let's say, if we're going to put you on a scale of 1 to 10, and 10 being the best leader ever and 1 being the worst leader ever, and let's say that, you know, on average, people are let's say you're a 4, okay? Well, the people who are going to follow you are the 1s, 2s, and 3s, okay? People who are never going to follow you would be the 6s, 7s, 8s, 9s, and 10s, right? Well, to build a strong organization, you feel like, well, yikes. If I'm just a 4, I'm just having 1s, 2s, and 3s follow me. That's not a very strong organization, right? So that's why he goes back to that whole chapter of the law of the lid. You saw that your capacity is, did you guys get to the law of the lid yet? Yeah, okay. Did I talk about the law of the lid with your team? No, somebody else? Okay. I was just making sure that I wasn't like, you're like, you talked to us about that. Okay. So the law of the lid basically states, I mean, your organization, it caps at your lid. I mean, it can't expand greater than the lid that you've got on top of it. And the same is true in this law of respect about the leader that you are, and the people around you that respect you aren't going to be stronger than you. Stronger leaders don't follow weaker leaders by nature. You know, one of the questions he asked was, in what situation would a stronger leader follow a weaker leader? And one of the ones that just popped up in my head would be any of the time I've seen a stronger leader follow a weaker leader is in an organization where there's a hierarchy of command, right? So the military, or even just, you know, hey, you're the sales manager and this person is just a receptionist. And, you know, she may be a certified John Maxwell speaker, right? But she's got to follow that sales manager, even if he doesn't have that leadership ability. But guys, we're not in an organization like that. We are in an organization where leadership truly matters. The title you get is directly reflected by your leadership ability and your ability to get people to follow you. That's what we do. We try to get people to follow us. And the more people we get to follow us, the higher ranking we become in this company. As well as the reverse is true. If for some reason you got a lot of people to follow you, but you weren't a strong leader, they won't stay. They'll get in and then they'll start to realize, oh, I can't really follow this person. They're a weaker leader than I am. And they don't say that in their mind. They don't even know why they leave a lot of times. But it's so pertinent what you guys are doing. This is such a big part of what we do. I feel like it's all of it. I feel like if we don't have leadership, then we can't lead. And leading is what you have to do in this business, is you have to lead. So like he said in the book, he gives you step by step. How do I do that? How do I become a leader who's a 6, 7, 8, 9, 10? I don't know. I'm still asking those questions to myself daily. How can I improve? How can I reach the next level? How can I get to this place where people want to follow me? And it's not so that I can be successful. It's because when you are a servant and you love the Lord and you love people, you know that when people are following you, you're loving them well. It's like a litmus test for me. I feel like what he says in this law of respect, if people aren't following me, it's not because I'm not just this, you know, great commander. It's maybe because they don't feel loved well. My family doesn't feel well loved by me. That would make me a really poor leader in my household. So when we're loving well and people then begin to respect you, admire you, love you, want to follow you, then all these great and amazing things start to happen. And you develop this tribe of people around you, right? And this tribe just, you build each other up and you're all part of this big puzzle that needs each other. And I love, love, love being in this business because it continually pushes me to be better. And not better so I can make more money, not better so I can get more titles, better so I can love people better. And it shows me all the areas where I haven't loved people well at all. You know, this year, I haven't shared this a lot. I certainly haven't talked about it on my big team page. But since Scott's accident, our accident last August, things have just been totally downhill for me. Physically, mentally, thankfully, my husband is doing well. My children are doing well. They're much more resilient than I am. I will give them that. Children are totally resilient, and men just think so differently than women. It's kind of like, well, I'm not hurting, so I'm going back to work. Most of them don't carry around the weight of a lot of the things that we as women carry around. And because I'm a woman and I'm a very emotional creature, I do not get over things easily, and things stick around for a long time. And so it's been really difficult this year. I've been very hard on myself. I've realized that I've told myself a lot of negative things. I realized that I've allowed myself to stay in negative spaces for too long. And I've noticed that my health has struggled because of the stress of what we went through and how hard that was. Because just about the time that I was starting to do better is when Brock got really sick. And so it was just kind of, you felt like, have you ever had those seasons or times where it's like storm after storm after storm, and there's like no break, and you can't come up for air, so you don't ever get a chance to recover? Well, that's what my life has been since August, is I've just been like under these crashing ocean waves. And in all the midst of all that, I became certified with John Maxwell. That doesn't make any sense, right? Well, one of the things I have learned is that when you are tempted to go to those dark places, when things are the hardest, you have to fight for that rescue line. You have to hold tight to it. You have to not allow yourself to go down with the ship. You have to say, I am going to make it through this. I am going to persevere. And thank goodness for God's grace and mercy that he allows that, and that he gives us those moments where we can, catch a breath of air before we have to go under again. And it seemed so ridiculous that in the midst of my storm and my son just finishing surgery and all of this craziness, that I would go put more burden upon myself. But I felt like that I was reaching for like my little island in the midst of a storm, a place that I could go, that I could stand, because the Bible doesn't change. Leadership principles don't change. They all stay the same. And so sitting on that island and focusing on how to love other people well, when really I just needed love myself. I just needed time, attention, and care. And I was giving it to other people. Do you know what fuels you the most? And I'm not against self-care here. I am a big self-care person. I mean, Epsom salt baths, regular basis. Nobody bother me. Shut the door. We have to fill our cup that way. But I'm talking about when we dig deep in the hard seasons, and we don't allow that negative mindset to take over, and we start practicing what we're preaching, when we're saying, I am not going to go there. I am not going to let my brain go there. I am not going to let myself go there. I am going to reach for that lifeline, and I'm going to pull myself out of this. And if you're struggling in your business, if you just take a step back and you start focusing on this book, these leadership skills, your mindset, what you're thinking, what you're feeling, I promise you that you'll be able to survive, that you'll get through this season, that your business will recover, that if you had a bunch of people join you and then they all went away, that's okay. There's a big leadership lesson in that. We have to have some pain to want to grow. And if we don't have pain, we're never pushed to that place that says, I want to be better. I want to do more. If everything's great and going awesome and amazing, we don't grow. We just enjoy the ride. We think we're going to grow. We think we're going to read the books. We think we're going to practice the lessons, but the Lord knows we will not. And that is why he allows suffering and adversity and trials and tribulations, and he allows all your team to leave, and he allows you to have to rebuild and grow, because he cares so much about the person you're becoming. And he uses so many different avenues and methods to grow you as a person so that you can make a greater impact on the world. And so I want you guys to know that this isn't easy, and I'm just right there with you. Like, if you're feeling like, gosh, my life is just so complicated, she doesn't understand. I understand. and I get complicated and I get hard and I get sickness and children being sick and husbands being struggling and work being a problem. And I get that there's all of this. Don't let the enemy steal from you something that could be the greatest blessing. If you don't have peace about where you are, just pray, because I promise that he will give you the direction and that he'll give you the tools. I love that saying that says, the teacher appears when the student is ready. How many times has that happened? How many times have you thought to yourself, I want to learn like such and such, you know? And before you know it, I remember I wanted my kids to learn a second language. They were really little. And I was like, Avery just was like so fascinated with French. I mean, everything was Paris. We went to Hobby Lobby and they went through that line where they had Paris forever, you know, all the little Eiffel Towers and everything. Like Avery wanted all of that. She just wanted to live in Paris. I think she was like 7. I mean, 7, 8 years old, 9 years old, everything about Paris. And I just told Scott, I was like, I've got to figure out a way for her to learn French. This chick loves Paris. Like that's all she talks about. I think she'll be so fascinated. I want her to learn another language. Kid you not, a month later, when we were signing up for our little homeschool school that we do, there was a new teacher there. And yes, she's from France. And so the French that I had bought Avery had been learning. And I asked this lady, I said, do you do French lessons? And she said, no. She said, of course I do. And so she started giving Avery French lessons. And she said, I don't know what you've bought. And she was like, but stop teaching it to her because it's not correct. And she was like, whatever language system you bought, that's not how the words are pronounced and all of that. I was like, oh my gosh, see, what would I have done without you? How would I have ever known? And so Avery did French with her for like about a year. She taught him how to cook French pastries. I mean, she just really immersed them in the French culture completely. I mean, Avery still remembers French to this day, all the stuff that she learned. So she could get by. She could get to France and she could know where bathrooms are, how to eat, like pay for things, but that's about it. Like she couldn't have like really deep conversations with people, but she would not be, hurting if I dropped her off in Paris. She'd figure it out. And I just think, how many times in my life has that happened where I've just said, you know what, I want to learn French, or I want to do this, or I want to do that. And then suddenly those resources are just available and provided for. And you just have to go out and grasp them. So if you're wanting to raise your leadership lid, look where you are. The teachers have appeared. The people that want to do this with you, they're all around you. Don't isolate yourself. Reach out to them, be a part of it, learn, ask yourself the hard questions, put yourself, in places where you can grow. And I think this is the best breeding ground for leadership. I just, hands down, I've ever found. It's amazing. Thank you, Rossi.
So much, Rhonda. Do you have a few minutes if anyone has a question?
Yeah, I would love to answer people's questions. I feel like we can learn so much out of that when people ask questions.
Yeah. Okay, so if you have a question, just unmute yourself and go ahead and ask. Hopefully somebody has to have a question, right?
Can I ask you a question, Rossi?
Yes. As
you were doing this chapter, what was really kind of your aha moment in the chapter?
Well, I think it's kind of the same aha moment that has been happening in every chapter, and I've kind of mentioned it each time. And you mentioned it with starting in my own home. I love how all of these don't even just pertain to business. It's my whole life is getting better because of these laws and investing and doing these things. And so in this chapter, it was really kind of sitting down and going over are people following me? But in starting with my own home, is there respect there? And what would they say if I asked them, those questions that you asked your kids? And so that's always my aha moment in every chapter. You know, I'm doing this essentially, or in the beginning, I did this for my business, but now I'm like, it's rocking my whole world. So I always start within the home, and it's changing. Just me doing this is changing our home life incredibly. So I would say that, and kind of going through those, I'm looking over my notes here, like what makes a good leader. And then this. So this is great because I have you on here, but one of the questions was, how do you react when you're placed in a group of strong leaders? So me being me, my two direct uplines are diamonds, you know, like, so for me, it's a place where I do not struggle with comparison or jealousy, but I think that's a kind of a downfall for a lot of people immediately when you're surrounded by great leaders. It's to compare yourself to them or to, you know, kind of envy what they have. And in a sense, I am very different in that area, because when I'm surrounded by leaders, I'm like Rhonda and Bridget, like, fill me with everything. I'm like a sponge, you know? So
Yeah.
that's what I would want for everyone on our team, is when you see that person have an attribute or something that you envy in them, don't, you know, hate them for it. Open yourself up and soak it in, you know? And so that was one of the questions that really I kind of wanted to talk about, just because I think we, you know, I'm in a position where I could be very much like, I will never be able to do this. My two uplines are diamonds. They're amazing. They're, you know, I just don't have any of that. But instead, I am just what I said, soak it up. What can I learn? What can I take? Give me what you have, you know, kind of thing. And so that's what I really want for our team to just, we are surrounded by some amazing leaders with such incredible gifts. You know, don't compare yourself, glean. You know, I couldn't express enough that we have Rhonda, and when we had Bridget, and everyone that we've had on our calls, we had Amy Paul was on the call, and like, we're surrounded with people who are investing in us with these incredible leadership qualities, and people that I respect so much, you know. So anyway, I could get off on 500 rabbit trails, but those were a couple of the things that really just stuck out with me. Starting in the home can really help you assess, you know, how your business will be with people in your business, and then just being surrounded by good leaders, soak it in, you know.
Yeah, you know, that makes me think about, you know, one of the other reasons why I did the John Maxwell thing was, you know, in his 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth, you know, and even in this book, I'm sure he mentions it a lot of times, but he says, like, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room, right? And that's something probably Scott and I talk about all the time. We talk a lot about, even to our kids, because what a great lesson this is for your kids, right? So much of the time, everybody's just trying to be the top, be the number one. You know, being the number one is actually not a good thing. It can be a good thing, but here's the flip side of what I want you to see, is that once you're at the top, who are you learning from? How are you growing any more beyond your capacity, right? Remember, you know, in high school, there's always, you know, the captain of the football team and the, you know, captain of the cheerleading squad, right? And everybody just wants to be them. And in high school, everybody's just like, oh, you're so fabulous. You're so wonderful. Really a detriment. It can really, really be a detriment if your parents aren't very wise, if the people around you are saying, because the captain of the football team, he goes off to college, maybe even on a football scholarship, and he finds out real quick that he's not number one, that he's among a whole bunch of boys who've all been captain of their football team, right? And now he's just a small fish in a big pond. And if he spent all his time being the big fish in the little pond, being the small fish in the big pond is really going to hurt him if he doesn't know how that he's actually been put in this great pond of growth. And so, you know, being a diamond ambassador and being surrounded by all these other diamonds, it's so amazing. But like, then what? right? Then what? I loved it when I was growing in Plexus because there was always a then what? There was always a, oh my gosh, I'm going to go gold. Oh my gosh, I got to work for senior gold. You know, there was always a next level that I was pushing towards. And so I loved going to John Maxwell. I was a small fish in an ocean. And there were whales swimming past me. And I was just like, oh my gosh, look at that person. And what you had said, Rossi, about, you know, because convention's coming up, a lot of people are going to convention, right? And it's kind of that same feeling when you're a silver ambassador, or when I went as a silver ambassador, I was like, oh my gosh, there's diamonds, there's like all these jewels and people that I'd been watching on YouTube. And I knew nobody, guys, my first convention, like nobody. My upline wasn't even there. So I was just like, I just went at like by myself with a friend. I drug a friend because I was like, I cannot be by myself. She just signed up too. And I was like, you're going with me. And, but I wanted to be in this big pond. I wanted to learn from all these people. So don't let the enemy use it for bad. I could have gone to John Maxwell and I could have said a lot of negative things about myself. I could have been like, you thought you were a leader, but just look around you. You're not a leader. These are leaders. These people have achieved like the pinnacle of leadership. You know, when you're learning from John Maxwell's team, okay, so his team, his right-hand man, the people he surrounds himself with on a daily basis to help him run his organization, those are the tippy tops. Those are the people that they've been doing leadership for the last 20 plus years or 40 plus years. You're just with greatness. You know, it's kind of like when we're going to hear Les Brown at convention. You're just being surrounded by greatness. Don't let that be a tool that the enemy uses to discourage you. You look at it as what it is. Like, wow, look what I could become. Look at what's possible. I've been dreaming so small. And there's so many big things to dream for and reach for. There's these levels of leadership I never even imagined that I could become, because everybody was once just like us, just starting out, didn't really know nothing. But through the course of remaining that small fish in a big pond, every time you start to think that, you know, you're bulking up and you're starting to be the bigger fish than everybody around you, I encourage you to go find a bigger pond. Go find a bigger pond to swim in with lots more friends, with lots more people that are way, way ahead of you. Because like John says, we'll always rise to the level of the people we spend the most amount of time with. Well, I want to spend my time with big, big leaders so that one day I could potentially become this person that has tremendous influence to be able to do these amazing things and be able to pass that on to our children. So incredible. So I love that, Rossi.
Yeah, and then I was looking through my notes again, and then I think if Ruth Ann maybe had a question, but I'm saying this often. So a lot of people, when we first started this out, felt, you know, kind of discouraged because it exposes a lot of things that were lacking, leadership qualities were lacking and all of that. But so my phrase, and I write it over everything, is we have to expose those things so we can eliminate them. And so I loved what it says: evaluate yourself in each area on the scale of 1 to 10, and it gives you things: your leadership ability, your respect of others, courage, your success record, loyalty, and value added to others. But, you know, writing down the things that are I'm not doing well in, so I can raise my lid and eliminate that, you know, quality that I need to grow. And so, you know, it is, all the temptations come in, and I have all those temptations too, but I always look kind of on the flip side of everything. I'm not going to let them discourage me. It's like, thank God now he's showing me the things I need to work on, because otherwise I just would never work on them and go about ignorance is bliss. Right? Until you have to lead people, then it's not blissful anymore. So I love that. If you guys all have the workbook, because that's in the workbook, I would highly recommend doing that, going and looking over some of those qualities and evaluating yourself 1 to 10, and then raise your lid in the areas that you score low. So anyway,
yeah, what you focus on grows. Okay. So if you're focusing, like I said, on a lie that you're telling yourself, or you're focusing just on the negative, like, wow, what a terrible leader I am, or whatever, those thoughts just grow. They just become like this animal of their own. However, the flip side of that is, let's say, you know what, I don't think I give a lot of respect to my children. So if you focus on, you know what, I'm going to work really hard this week. This week's going to be my focus. And I love that. I love just taking one area. Okay. Don't overwhelm yourself. There's a lot of areas we can all grow in, right? But just take one area, and maybe it's even just your husband. Maybe it's not your kids, and make a conscious effort that this week I'm going to show respect to my husband, or I'm going to show respect to my kids. I'm going to look for ways to show them how much I love and respect them and value them as people. And just the transformation in a week. Anybody remember the Fireproof movie and the Love Dare that like came out after that, right? And how he finally won her over because no matter what she did or how she turned him away, he just kept going with the encouragement of his friend. So you guys have all these friends in this group with you, these accountability partners, Rossi and Darcy and everybody in here, to be open and honest and say, you know what, this is an area that I'm really struggling in, but we're going to all focus on this week. You guys have your great chat that's always going and stuff like that. You get to celebrate your victories together, and maybe it takes showing your husband respect for 2 months before he finally feels respected. I remember I was so disrespectful to my husband when we got married. Modeling a lot of just what I had learned, how people were talked to in my home and things like that. And because I'm a strong personality, I can bowl people over really quickly. Like I'm taking over this call right now. I can do that so well. And I had to show, when I finally learned that I wasn't respecting my husband, we went through like a marriage class about his needs, her needs. And I learned what my husband's needs were and in what order, and respect being number one. And here, that's the area I was like the worst at. And when I say the worst, I mean the worst. Like he couldn't even tell me his plans without me interjecting instantly to shoot them down and tell him how they were going to be better or different, or disrespect him in front of other people. You want to lose a lot of points out of your love bank, show disrespect to them in front of other people, and then you have just literally crushed them, And it was an ugly, ugly uphill climb for my husband and for me to start showing him respect, and then him to put his guard down because I'd so battered him and disrespected him for so long that he wasn't very trusting. He thought it was manipulative. When I started being respectful to him, he thought I was manipulating him. I mean, how sad is that? What kind of wife do you have to be to make your husband think you're manipulating them when you start being respectful? But guys, it's all a process and it's all a stage. It's a stage you have to go through. You're earning their trust back, and it's not easy. And you're going to have to probably take a lot of blows in the process of earning their trust back. Has anybody else experienced that when they've tried to do something like they weren't being nice and now they're trying to be nice, but now they're just being punished for being nice? It's because we hurt people, and that's just their natural reaction back to us, is I don't trust you. I've been hurt by you too many times and for too long that I don't trust you. But it can be done because God is faithful and he is a God of restoration, and through prayer and forgiveness. I mean, I had to apologize to my husband and tell him how awfully sorry I was. And it was through my true remorse that he began to trust me, and my true, being sorry and repentful, and giving him permission to tell me when I was not being respectful. Because a lot of the things I just didn't even know, because that's how I was raised and that seemed normal to me. And for him to be able to point out things in me and say, you know what, that's not very respectful. That makes me feel disrespected when you say that or when you do that. That can be huge. You can do the same things with your teams. You can ask them, how you can be a better friend. And I don't really mean like a big team, like call like this, but just in working with your level ones, asking them, how can I be a better sponsor? what areas do you feel like you wish you had that maybe I'm not doing? Maybe you've got somebody who really thrives on recognition and that's just not your thing, so you don't ever think about it. And yet they're starving over there for recognition. And they say people will work harder for praises than raises. Is very, very true. And so we can just little things like that can change the whole dynamics of your team when you find out the needs of your team members and how you can meet them.
Yeah, and there's even a take action in the workbook too. And that is, this week, gather together 3 of your friends for a discussion. Come up with at least 5 situations that you and your friends might find yourself in as a group. Example, planning a trip, entering a business venture, experience a medical emergency, and so forth. For each situation, have each person tell which person in the group they would most likely follow and why. List the situations you and your friends come up with below and list the names of who was mentioned. So that's a great exercise to get a few people together. You can really see what your leadership qualities are in the eyes of somebody else, you know? And then going along with what you said with our, you know, focusing on the negative or the positive, it's all about perspective, because we need to see those negative things so we can raise the lid. But I print off, I have it everywhere written down. Whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is good, think on these things. When we did a study of that one time, the think on these things was actually to grasp on with every last living thing. The Greek word for to think on these things was to make it a part of who you are. So when we're doing that, we can take those negative things and change the perspective, right? And so it's no longer a negative, it's actually becomes a hope for something different, and your actions follow your thoughts. So if you're thinking, you know, if you have flipped that perspective and your negative, it has actually become something positive because there's hope in change. If there's nothing you can change, then nothing will change, you know. But if that negative turns into a positive and your thoughts are directed towards that positive, your actions are going to follow suit. So that mindset, it really is. I never believed in any of that stuff. Like your mindset, it was all voodoo to me. But really, there's so much truth there, and it's actually biblically true and biblically foundational in our lives and how we live our lives. There's lots of negatives, but it's that perspective. How are you going to look at that, and how are you going to address that? Turning it into something positive, changing your thought process on it so that your actions will then follow suit, you know? Yeah. I disrespected my husband. So flip side, I have hope because I can change that. And then thinking about that, thinking of all the ways that you can do that, and then your actions follow suit. So it's not magic. It's actually a great process, that going back to that, trust the process. Sometimes it takes a long time, like Rhonda said with the Love Dare. It takes a long time, and we want that immediate gratification, but we're also in a business where there is no immediate gratification. You work for it, you know? So even in the home, I love all of that. So I don't think Ruth Ann did have a question, but before we close, I don't want to keep you guys. I know it's a Sunday, and I'm so thankful for you, Rhonda, and I don't want to monopolize your time. You could have taken the whole time.
My family's out eating dinner, so it's worked out great.
Aww. Thank you so much. Does anyone else have a question? You can either put it in the chat over there or just unmute yourself. No questions? All right.
Actually, I do have a question. So my question is, I didn't have a question, but I thought of one. So I know, Rhonda, you talk a lot about, you know, striving to be a good leader and all of, and like, so like one day, you know, I can be the person in the school. But I think it's important, like, I don't know if it's a question, but something that I've been reminded of, like, it's important to remember that we influence people every day, you know, so it's not like always one day I'm going to influence people. And just kind of, I guess, like, just a little question, like, how do you look at that from the perspective of each day to the future?
It broke up a little bit. Did you catch the question, Rossi? Broke up.
Can you hear me better? Can you hear me better now?
It was breaking up on my end too.
Hold on, let's go in the kitchen. Can you hear now?
I can't
a little bit better, I think.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so my quick question was, Rhonda, you talk a lot about, about being a better leader and focusing on, like, so someday that I can influence other people or I can be that person. But can you speak to, like, the daily influences that we're always doing, I guess? Because we are striving to be better leaders, but we're still leading every day, I guess.
Oh no, yeah, absolutely, you're right. I like to think in I've always got my big, huge, audacious goals, right? Like, I haven't spelled that out for you guys what that means to me, but I've always had these big, big goals of, like, one day I'm personality traits, or one of my things is I'm a vision caster, right? Like, I really cling to big visions. But what you're saying is exactly right. I mean, I'm not planning and doing all this stuff so that one day I jump into my life. Life is happening right now. Leadership is happening right now.
Right.
The people we're leading in our home every day, that's happening right now. And just like Rossi mentioned about how this has changed her family right now and where she's living right now, each chapter changes, each, book you read, each video you see, each call you do is one more little change of that, like Paul said, I press on, for that great prize, that this race that we're running, each mile we're getting stronger, and each, time you're learning this week, the one thing I'm going to focus on by hopefully next week, that's something that's feels more natural to me, and that I'm doing more of, and I've rewarded myself for it. So it's like, yes, this is good, and you're going to continue to find that on this journey. You're going to continue to find that the joy is not some yay, yes, one day there'll be this big thing out there. There will be. God will start putting big dreams in your heart. There will always be something, but that you'll be getting so much enjoyment from the process.
Right.
We always say find joy in the journey when we're talking about Plexus, because like I said, I look back and I think I had the most fun I've ever had trying to hit those ranks in Plexus. It was just so fun. The highs, the lows, the excitement, the contest, the pushes, I needed 3 more people, that whole thing. Like, there was so much joy in that. There were so many lessons learned in that all made me who I am right now today. So all the things you're learning, my whole primary goal is, God, don't leave me the same. And the person I am today, I don't want to look back a year from now and I want to be unrecognizable. I want to be like, wow, have I grown? I remember that girl, and I'm so glad God didn't leave me like that. I'm so glad there's so much more he had to do and to accomplish in me, and that I'm not her, anymore. I think the best gift we can give ourselves is not to look back 20 years at our younger self and be like, I wish I was her. I think the greatest gift we can do is look back at her and say, wow, I'm so glad I'm not her. She had so much to learn and so much to do. And, while I might want her collagen and I might want her thick hair, I am just happy that God never leaves me the same, and that I do know so much more now that I did then, and I am more comfortable in my own skin and helping and loving other people. And so absolutely, I totally agree. Leadership is a daily thing, and the lessons we learn are daily and pay off huge dividends for our family every single day, because they do what they see, not what they hear. It's caught, not taught, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
Thanks.
so true. You're welcome. That's like a thank you to her, not to me, for pointing that out.
Oh gosh. Well, thank you so much, Rhonda. You guys, when Mom posts this on the team page, Mama D posts this on the team page, you can ask any questions on there, and we can make sure we get them answered. I know Mom had a couple drawings, and then we'll let you guys get back to your families and your Sundays. But I'm so thankful that you guys are investing in yourselves and your families and your businesses by being on these calls. It's so important, and it's so special to be in this with all of you. Love you, Rhonda. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you, Rhonda.
Oh, no, you guys, thank you always for inviting me to these, and I love getting to talk to everybody. I'm excited about convention coming up. I can't stand it. It's going to be so fun. It's exhausting, but fun. Cannot wait. And can't wait to see everybody. You guys have to, I'm trying to tell everybody this, but you have to, like, if you spot me, you just have to run and find me. And because they literally keep us on this really tight schedule of running from place to place to place to place. And it makes me really sad. I honestly wish that I could go back and be a silver ambassador. And that probably was one of the most fun conventions I've ever had, was when I didn't know anybody and I didn't know a thing, and I was so green. And I just thought, Plexus is the bomb. I still think Plexus is the bomb, but in a different way. Like, I just had this such excitement, and I could go anywhere I wanted and do anything I wanted and talk to anybody I wanted to. And now the hammer is down. I don't get to decide anything while I'm there, and it is a lot. Because we're trying to make convention awesome for everybody. So, we've got all these awesome workshops planned that are going to be, all the breakouts are going to be amazing. Everybody's going to be hearing the same, topics, just broken down for right where they are, which is just fantastic. I'm so excited about that. I know quite a few secrets that are going to blow your minds, that are going to be so awesome while we're there. I mean, Kelly Clarkson concert, that will be so fun. Her song about her dad, kills me. It just kills me, right? And so I think we're going to have a great time. But I may not get to see everybody, and I may not get to hug everybody, and I may just be with my eyes glazed over as I'm walking. So you have to hunt me down, hug me, let's take a picture, and so that I can feel like I saw everybody somehow. Thank you.
Okay, here's a question. It doesn't have to do. Can I talk?
Yes, I hear you.
Okay. I was just gonna say, here's a question. It doesn't have to do with the meeting tonight, but do you seriously not have any clue about the big reveal?
I have a couple clues about the big reveal,
okay,
but I don't know what it is.
Okay. Yep, that's okay. I'm kind of getting.
You're kind of getting what?
A little bit okay, what is it? I can't handle this anymore. That was maybe way too long to have to wait to hear about it. So.
Oh my gosh, I'm telling you, it's really hard. I mean, but honestly, this week will go by really fast because, I'm glad that it's Saturday. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but once we start Monday in our house, it's like Friday, the next day. I'm like, how did that happen? With kids' activities and ball games and doctor appointments and all that. My whole week is jam-packed with all these different calls and appointments and everything. So it's going to be here before we know it. And it's going to be so exciting, whatever it is. I'm thrilled about it. All I know is that we're going to have to plan, because they've talked a lot about strategy and planning with your teams once it's announced. And so it's okay, well, we've got a lot of work to do, it sounds like, as soon as they announce it. So I'm excited for us to, we'll probably have a big team Zoom call or something, and just strategize with everybody and get everybody's ideas and feedback and stuff like that, so we can, and that's what I'm hoping too, the big reveal event page. If I want people that on that day to be posting pics from their events, into that big reveal event. That was mostly why I set it up, so we could all have a place to chitter chatter and show pictures and all that, because it wouldn't be in the team page. That would be kind of, too crazy. But if it was in that event page that was just about the event, then people could comment and talk and post pictures from their events and all that kind of fun stuff. So then maybe Bridget and I will do a couple lives on the events afterwards, just to tell you our thoughts about what we were told and what's going on and what's happening and stuff. So somebody said, Ruth Ann said, how can I not keep telling everyone my secrets? Integrity. Signed a non-disclosure with my company. Yeah, just it's hard to keep secrets. It is hard to keep
No,
secrets.
I said you can't keep telling people you have secrets and then not tell them.
I tell you that I have secrets to get you excited.
I don't like secrets.
I want people to, here's what I want people to know. Not that I have some big secret I'm telling you, but that there's awesome stuff that's coming. Like, I know that sometimes we can feel discouraged in our business, or we can feel like, oh my gosh, I don't have enough momentum, or, just anything. You know how like before Christmas, and you know what all your kids are getting, and you're so happy for them and so excited for them, and you're just like, oh my gosh, I can't wait for you to be on Christmas Day so you can open your presents. And they're like, stop, Mom, because I want to know. But I'm just happy for them. Like, I'm happy for you guys. You have no idea how happy I am for you, because I know how this is going to impact your businesses and how it's going to help you. And so I say all that to say I'm just excited.
I know. I'm just giving you a hard time. Sorry.
So anyway, well, on that note, can't wait for Saturday.
Yay!
Yay!
Aw, thank you so much, Rhonda. You're amazing. Thank you for investing in us. So thankful.
I'm jumping in.
Oh,
Yes.
Mom.
Crystal is the winner of the IPA journal. So, so PM me your mailing address and I'll get that to you. And then, because I just love these Zoom calls and they're so vital to our businesses, we wanted to give out a $25 flash gift card to Amazon. And the winner of that is, I don't know. It's a Michigan number though, the 661-717-0928. Is that Nicole? Maybe Rachel, you might know who that is, but somebody was on with just their phone number. So
that's not a Michigan number. 661, is it 616 or 661?
661. Okay, I'll find out who it is. But
I know.
anyway. Huh?
It's Audra.
Oh, yay! Okay, we'll
That's
tell her.
awesome. She just had to get off. She just texted, so I will let her know. So excited.
All right. Okay.
All right,
Thank
girls.
you, Rhonda.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Rhonda. You're invaluable.
You're welcome. I love you guys all so much.
Mwah.
Yes,
Hey.
love you. Have a great Sunday.
You're still working
Yes.
on the sale incentive.
What's
that?
I said, is anybody still working on their big reveal incentive, trying to earn it tonight?
Yes, I need one more. I'm like my own team, but my Shannon earned it, and Linda is not on the call, but she earned it. My sister Ricky was on the call; she earned it. So, yes.
Congratulations to
Yeah.
them. Well, I'm praying for all of you who are still working really hard tonight to earn it. The time is not over, so we'll get off this call so you can go work.
Yes. All right. Love you all. Thank you so much, Rhonda. Love you.
You're welcome. Love you.